Pete Doherty is by far the most important man of our generation, the most talented writer and poet, because he can teach us that, you know, life can be a shitty mess, but you have to really like appreciate those times, because if you don't appreciate those times, how are you going to appreciate it when it's something's glorious, something magic's happening?
No photographs, please.
Yeah, his lyrics and like his poetry, like how he releases music on the internet, like no one else does that. I mean, that's like a direct link between me and him, that he's releasing his music on the internet, because that means so much to me and all, you know, all the fans, because it's just if he's talking to you, you know, that's straight to you. No one else has got that.
How you doing?
Not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Is the how's the background noise?
It's not too bad, I think.
Okay, good. Yeah, the waitress might just step by in a second and ask me if I want anything, and then I don't think she'll bother me again.
Nah, it's all good, mate. Yeah. So where are you? Say Corfu or something?
Yeah. Cool.
Ah, nice.
First time here.
Ah, nice. Just a bit of a holiday, yeah?
Yeah, just a week off. Well, you know, during the football season, I can't really get away, but yeah, this is the best time to go when kids are off school and it's when the kids are in school, and it's nice weather. Yeah, let's get away now. There's no football on.
So what is it you do then? You say you do football coaching on a weekend?
Yeah, so I run a football club in South London called Clapham Rangers, and I coach for Crystal Palace as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I coach for Crystal Palace's academy. Basically, there's a funnel for like the good kids in my catchment area in South London, so like Brixton, Clapham, Balham, that bit around there. And I've been doing that. I've been coaching football about 13 years, with Crystal Palace about 4 years, and then just do loads of like private sessions from the kids in the area, basically.
Okay, so what you had to do, like your UEFA badges and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I met the guys at Crystal Palace doing the badges.
Oh, okay, right. Yes, mate. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
is it like
it's
the younger people that you're coaching?
Yeah, they're from, like, my kind of like favorite ages are like from like 6 to 10, 6 to 11. Yeah, little kids basically. At Palace, sometimes I've done the older kids as well, but to be honest with you, like, I don't know the information that I give them, they already know.
Right.
And so the older they get, it's a different type of management. It's like knowing how to delegate, because you can't get that much information across on a football pitch at once. But when it's a smaller pitch, it's a bit like just playing, you know, it's like playing Subbuteo, but you know, with 8-year-olds.
Yeah. That sounds awesome, mate. I could talk about that all day, to be fair, but you're a Man United fan, aren't you?
I'm a United fan, yeah. But it's been a pretty tough season. You're up in Manchester, aren't you?
Yeah. I went to the Middlesbrough game, and then that was quite funny. I went to the Villa game, actually. I got a free ticket for the Villa game, went to that in the end.
What, the FA Cup game?
Yeah. Real last minute. My friends got stuck on the motorway, so they gave me the ticket. But you go quite a lot, don't you?
I've been going this season. Yeah, I had obviously I was like besotted with them, Eric Cantona, until, you know, end of Fergie's reign, and I could never go see them. And, you know, the two things I love the most are football and music. And it just, you know, when Cristiano went back, I was like, oh well, I've got to take advantage and go see him. And it just, the amount of times I went and they were rubbish and he was rubbish. There was the one shining moment, which was the Tottenham game where he scored a hat-trick. And that was, they won 3-2, and that was a bit more of a resolution and a sort of sense of it was worth it. To see him banging those 3 goals.
That Newcastle game was impressive though. His first game, it was like
it felt
like something was going to happen, didn't it?
Yeah. I think it's a bit of a broken club. I like the nostalgia around it. I like the feel of it. You know, I grew up in. It is a bit like Disneyland, but I kind of buy into it. Unfortunately, I know it's like I see everything that's wrong with it, but I can't help. It's like my inner child speaking. And
yeah, I know what you mean. Like my age growing up, it was all Man United. And there's a thing like there was a thing around them where it was like a lot different to other clubs, I guess.
Yeah, and now it's like, I think everyone's, I don't know, the coaching has advanced so much, and like players have advanced so much. I think Man United just monopolized the market, didn't they? Had great scouts, and obviously Ferguson had such a charismatic like appeal to him that loads of good players wanted to come play for him, and he just built on that momentum and his ability to adapt to like as things were changing. You know, he stayed on the ball. He was pretty unique in that respect. But you know, I think they're way behind the way of thinking of their rivals now. Who do you support?
I'm a Hull fan.
Are you? Yeah, the Tigers.
Yeah, it's a bit different, but our fixtures just came out today actually, so it's quite interesting. But yeah, I've seen like players like Ericsson apparently is turned down Man United. It's like a different. People are starting to think twice a bit, aren't they? It's interesting.
Yeah, I forget about it.
Yeah.
I've given up. It's a labor of love.
Yeah, fair play, mate. Yeah, it's your tough era.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's delve into the music stuff, mate. I was rewatching the Who the Fuck is Pete Doherty today just to refresh what he said, and it's pretty amazing because I mean, you're actually younger than me, aren't you? Because I feel quite young for this scene, but you're even younger, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking about. Well, we were going to have a chat today, so I was thinking about when I first heard Up the Bracket and how it all came about for me. In that documentary, I've looked at it a couple of times. It was coming across your podcast that I really, I just remembered how much that scene meant to me, and I'm really coming at it quite passionately in that interview.
That's great.
In the BBC documentary. Yeah, it's funny to see it, just unbridled belief I guess I was really swept up in Pete Doherty's ability to romanticize the youth and romanticize a reality. I was the perfect age to to be conned by all that.
It is weird looking because I was the same. I was completely taken with it, and it is interesting looking back and like having more of having an objective look on it now. Some of it remains, and some of it's a bit like I'm not sure, but there's still. I think the fact is it was all very genuine. I think, and it was the real deal. I think
that's the. I'm very glad that they're playing now, and I've gone to see them a couple of times, and it's been fantastic just watching them go through it. But the tragedy of his music is that he was the real deal. And are you hearing those WhatsApp pings or no?
Nah, it's all right. I think so.
Okay, good. Yeah, he was the real deal, and it's a shame that he didn't quite capitalize on his talent when he was probably had the energy to put more music out probably and just harness just like really special and unique ability to craft the tune and be this like the spokesperson for a generation. I don't think is an overstatement. I don't think he quite hit that. I don't think we could quite call him that. I don't think he actually made it to that level, but it was within his grasp. My dad. So I'm just going to turn off my WhatsApp just to ping it. My dad is a music journalist and used to write for the NME and Melody Maker in the late 70s, and so there was always a really good record collection in my house. And he was quite good friends with Mick Jones, who produced the first two records. So he was playing Up the Bracket around the time I was about 12, and he even took me to Filthy McNasty's to see them play, just Pete and Carl play the gig, and I thought it was cool, but I was like into the Offspring. I was pretty young. I was like into the Offspring and Green Day, and it didn't quite strike the chord with me. Like this was just as Up the Bracket came out, or maybe just a little bit before Up the Bracket came out. And then I met a couple guys at school who were buying the NME, and it was the power of the NME, and that I thought it had its in my generation, it had its heyday then, where it was £1.80. It came out every week. I was like really excited to get it, and they were obviously, as I've listened to, you had is it Conor McNicholas?
Yeah.
And Matt Wilkinson. But just the Conor McNicholas's episode with you was amazing. It was amazing to hear from his side of it. Like they were crying out for a band like that to get get people, not obviously getting them buying the magazine, but just to get behind it and give the NME a platform that it should have, in its history. And when my dad was writing it, I think music was a lot more prominent in culture, a lot more. People took it a lot more seriously. I think I've been watching that Sex Pistols documentary, or not the documentary, the series on Disney, which is a bit Hollywood, but
I've enjoyed it though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite compelling, isn't it? And I think music is we just take it for granted now, that I think Spotify and the sort of like just the way it just kind of, there's so many genres and there's so much accessibility that it kind of washes over you a little bit. I think it's and before that, sort of like just before the internet became so significant, the NME for me, being 13, 14, just made it. It was everything to me, and jumping on those message boards, on the Doherty message boards, those were like my two outlets for, into the wider world. And yeah, so I started hearing Up the Bracket, and I went to the Brixton shows that they did when they did the 3 nights. I think I went to 2 of those nights, and that's when it really twigged. And my dad had been going on to me, "Oh, this is great, mixed record. This is great. Mix produce this," and I could hear it, but it wasn't until those Brixton Academy shows that it really it dawned on me like what an incredible act they were. And then that was basically it, wasn't it? Those are some of the last shows that they played together.
Yeah. It's interesting about your dad. Like, I'm always interested what other people of other generations made of it. So you say he was like a real champion of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he loved it, and he was go. Mick and him have a friendship, and I was very fortunate in that regard, that my dad was like, he was going along to see them record the second record, and when Babyshambles went down in Albion, he was going over to Metropolis and just hanging out with them.
That's it.
And getting it was. I mean, I was super jealous.
Yeah.
I was super jealous of my old man getting to do this stuff, but he did take me along quite a lot to like the first so Libertines had kind of imploded, and then Pete immediately starts Babyshambles, and then I started going to loads of Babyshambles gigs, like every Babyshambles gig. My dad took me out of London to go see them a couple of times, and like up to like Stoke and Sheffield, and I was just completely enamored with it. I couldn't believe it. Like, just gave me like I was walking on air, to be honest. Like, different feeling. The school that I went to, I felt kind of a bit detached from it anyway. It was quite like a stuffy school. With the music department was like incredibly discouraging of me because I couldn't read music, so I was always trying to get in there and play the guitars and stuff, and weren't having it. So like suddenly I had this outlet, and those gigs at seeing. I remember the Forum. I think the Babyshambles played the Forum quite early on with Gemma on drums, and it was the set list where it's the same tour where they play the Ritz, which is on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Like up the I think it's
the Manchester. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
The Manchester gig, and that set starts with The Man Who Came to Stay and climaxes and Wolfman.
Yeah.
I think. They were just absolutely electric at that point. This wasn't a band like them. And I think a lot of that is the chemistry that Pete and Pat Walden had. I think it's a lot to say for Pat that essentially Pete went from being in a band with 2 guitars to 1 guitar.
Yeah.
And the amount of I think Pat's understanding of space is like incredible. Like in terms of those live performances.
No, that dynamic was great. I thought at that point, definitely.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Sorry.
I
was gonna say, just I know your point about like picking up a guitar as well, because I think that's one of the main like good points of Pete Doherty. Really is. I remember him saying something like, I can't sing properly and I can't play guitar properly, but I can put something together. And I thought that was really inspiring for people like us who, we didn't know music like other people, but it give us a belief to pick up a guitar and have a go, basically. Yeah.
That's it. I think that's the mandate that, that he admitted, isn't it? That anyone can do this. And I think he realized his, and essentially, got too caught up in his own ability to influence. But I think he's a good guy, and that was, unfortunately, he's got a dark side to him from stuff I've seen and heard, just about how he could behave, but back then anyway. But his ability to charm was just like unparalleled. And them, so many bands, some for worse rather than better, started up. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I guess it's that's I think that always happens. I imagine we hear it's the same with Oasis, that inspired some good bands and a lot of shit bands, but that's the way it goes, I guess.
I think with Peter, he's was just basically the cleverest guy in the scene, and was very self-aware, aware of his ability to draw people in. I think he borrowed a few chords here and there, and from bands that he liked, was able to pull together enough songs. And from the chat that you had Gary on. Did you have Gary on? No, you had John on.
John on, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, John on. I've listened, from what I've listened to with Gary as well in another podcast, just talking about how much that Carl was an integral figure, I think. And of course he was an integral figure, but he really gave Pete that person to lean on, that made Pete realize that he's had the talent within him, but essentially he got too caught up on his own under his own sails, didn't he? And
yeah, I mean, who knows what happened really, but it'll be interesting to read his new book though, if that's a really honest account of what happened.
I read the interview in the Guardian that said that it just sounded like it was the ghostwriter, like he's given an account to the ghostwriter.
Right, okay.
And I wondered if it's if he'd had a different conversation with the ghostwriter on a different day, if it'd be a different book.
Right. Okay, so it's what he remembered that day.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just wings it entirely.
Yeah. Because I mean, you hear some people like Liam Gallagher say they can't remember anything from the 90s. It's like, well, fuck me, what chance has Pete Doherty got? But you must still be a good read.
I loved it in the conversation you had with Pat, where he goes back on tour with Babyshambles for a few shows, and it doesn't really work out. I'm not even sure that Pat performed. Maybe I think he played a couple gigs, one in Cambridge or something, and they decide to not carry on with it. And Pete says to Pat, "Look, you've really got to think about tomorrow."
Yeah, that was very funny. That not very fuck forever. That was it.
So yes,
well,
go on.
I was gonna say, obviously, the way you first got in touch with me in the podcast was to get in touch with Pat and get some guitar lessons, which I know you've managed to do. What's that been like?
It's been amazing. It's been really it's been a great learning off of him. The first lesson I was really nervous, but he's a fantastic teacher. He really drills you on the technical side of things, on the fundamentals. I mean, it's cool to have a chat with him about, where did you and Peter write "Fuck Forever" or something, in a graveyard at 4 o'clock in the morning, off our heads, or you know, those little nuggets are cool, but it's not really what I'm there for. It's just to, like I said, you know, he was an incredible guitar player on stage. I saw him play so many times, and often would play songs differently night after night, like coming up with kind of like slightly different versions of parts. And he's obviously just got an incredible ability to improvise, and his muscle memory is really really unique, and his understanding of scales is like it's just like another language to him, you know. So, and the manner he got to that level was just from drilling himself on like every scale, every type of mode, understanding how the sort of like keys blend together in music. And he's just it's amazing to sit down with him. After the first lesson, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And once I got used to it, I've really tried to take it seriously and do the homework, basically.
Yeah. Yes. It sounds like he's doing well these days. Kind of being sober and everything.
He seems really good, Nick. I chat to him quite a lot, just, you know, about music that we like and stuff. He's got me really into Smashing Pumpkins, and he's a big fan of this guitarist that my mum's friends with, called Mark Rebo. He's like a jazz guitarist, and so we've got like cover some ground like outside of indie, basically.
Yeah, he sounds like he's got a lot of influences outside those guitar bands. Yeah.
Well, like you said in that episode with you, that for him it was like, you know, Pete was into the Smiths and a lot of like the British bands. You know, I think, you know, Peter was into Oasis and stuff, but Pat was more into like Sonic Youth and Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and groups from the States. And you can hear that in his playing as well. It's a bit more I love that Sonic Youth record, Teenage Daydream, and listening to Smashing Pumpkins. It's just like he's really good at just like without overplaying, just like hitting the key moments, the key timing to create like a really like impactful melody. He just knows the corresponding how the guitar works, like the hieroglyphics of it, like the real density.
Yes. And yeah, I was looking through the messages, and you mentioned working with Tony Visconti. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, so I mean, so I realized I keep like going off in tangents when we're having this conversation, but we were talking earlier about you know, how Pete inspired everyone to pick up a guitar, and I had a couple groups, a group called the Savage Nomads that Matt Wilkinson actually got behind us a little bit, put us in NME radar. We did like Six Music got into us as well. But it was like a very experimental indie rock group, a bit late to be honest in the indie scene, and you know, put a record out in like 2011, and it kept going until about 2016. And we played with like Big Audio Dynamite and with Adamant, like toured a few shows with Adamant when he which is like, Adamant's pretty weird. I think it was a pretty weird band, like not very conventional. I was trying to make it more a bit more straightforward, but I was like, the guys that I grew up with just happened to be into like a lot of jazz and or like heavy metal. So like that band sounds like kind of a weird band, but off the first record, there are like 4 or 5 songs that I'm really proud of, and like the lead single that we did off the next EP, like it's called Tension in the Middle. It's like it's more like a spoken word piece over a piano loop, but that was a cool jam. And then I went and started with the same guys pretty much. Few members changed, but started another group called Artbreak, and we did a single with Tony Visconti, who'd seen us play, and that was really cool. It was really great to work with him, and you know, hear stories about David Bowie and Mark Bolan. He was pretty hands-on, to be honest. Like, he came and saw us play quite a lot of times, and we rehearsed with him quite a few times. Just this song called Soda Can at his studio in Kingston. Wanted to record everything to tape and just double track, triple track everything, and really wanted to understand the song. And he was just, he was the real deal, very genuine. He wakes up at 4 o'clock every morning to meditate and was telling us that we should all do the same the day before we recorded, which I think I tried to do. I couldn't hack it, but that band pretty much imploded after that. We got signed to a record label called Wall of Sound, they're more like a dance record label. They had like Propeller Heads and Wise Guys, and didn't have too many bands on there. Maybe like Wise Guys. Yeah,
Did they do like Budweiser advert?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think they were just like living off royalties of that song, basically. But yeah, it all imploded just because of like musical differences, like right after that. So, but there is that one song on Spotify, Soda Can, which is recorded by Tony.
Well, I'll have
the
to listen to
BBC were ready to give it they were ready to give it single of the week and stuff, but we stopped, and I stopped making music at that point basically until like lockdown, till like halfway through lockdown. I just focused on coaching football for a bit. But yeah, I've been doing it again more seriously now and taking songs in with Pat. Like we're bringing songs in with him, and he's just like going through arrangements and stuff, which has been
cool,
amazing. I'm really grateful to you, Harry, for passing me on his email.
No, it's all right. Obviously, I asked him first, but but yeah, nice. It's cool to see. But it's pretty impressive getting signed at that point, because it sounds, I know people who are in bands who are good, but struggle to get to that level of being signed and getting distributed properly. So it sounds like you did a pretty good effort.
Yeah, it was cool. Like when going into HMV and like there was a CD next to Sting and what, but no one bought the record. It's like, I don't know, like a few hundred people bought it basically, but. It was just, I think you need to do something that's really captures like people's imagination. That's very simple. First and foremost, the music I was making was pretty weird, experimental in all sorts of different types of key signatures. So like, I think musos were into it, but it was a bit straight. It wasn't music you could dance to, basically. That was like, it wasn't the Wombats.
Right, yeah.
But I was, listening to the Jarman Brothers, which was a great piece as well. Really great episode. Really enjoyed that. Massive fan of the Cribs. Just talking about the nature of playing music is that it's like, it's pretty much everything that you're going to do. If you're going to do it, then it's like a lifestyle. It's like it's more than a lifestyle. It has to basically become part of who you are to do it. That's what I think anyway. To do it with any significance, to do it with any like, I can't like make any music unless I feel like it's really reflective of who I am and what I like doing. Otherwise, I think it just sounds really cheap.
Nah, fair play, yeah. But just going back, to that scene and stuff. Obviously, you're quite young, but you're living in London. Very exciting for those bands around. Like how did you connect with other people? Did you meet a lot of people, younger people your age, and like in terms of like going out and stuff? Did you manage to find a bit of a community?
Yeah, I think I haven't really thought about this in a long time, but I was just like writing down everything that was going on at that point yesterday before we were going to have a chat. And I met this guy called Theo, who was the son of Terry Hall, who was the Specials. Yeah, and I just met him on a message board, and we were like 13, and I had no idea who this kid was, but we just started speaking on the message board on Pete Doherty's Network 54, Libertines.org message board, because I was on there every day checking if Heavy Horse, which was Pete's username. If he was gonna post a show, always you get to those shows, it'd say like £10 on the message board, and you get there, it'd be like 20 quid. When you're like 14, it's quite a lot of money. You already spent like all your money getting there. I met this guy Theo, and we were talking on MSN Messenger, and he invited me to his house. Like, completely different culture. My parents was like, yeah, whatever, just go. So I just went to Islington to meet this strange kid. Couldn't, easily could have not been a kid. Like, who knows what the hell it was. Yeah. My parents are pretty. My parents are pretty. I don't know. I don't want to say neglectful. Let's say open-minded.
Yeah.
Just let me get on. Let me get on with it. And yeah, his dad was Terry Hall, and Theo was. It was amazing hanging out with him, and he knew Peter because Peter liked Terry's music so much, and so that was like immediately like, and he was incredible on guitar as well. Theo was an incredible guitar player, and we hung out for about a year together, and we started playing music together. But his talent far surpassed mine, but my work ethic far surpassed his. So he would be like living between Coventry and London. At his mum's in Coventry, and it was like it just fell apart because I was like, come on, I really want to start a group with you. I could tell that like he had an ear for melody, but we lost touch actually after that. I think he was just like, he was quite introspective. So to answer your question, yes, I did meet people through that, and then I started like going on when Arctic Monkeys came out. I did the same thing and just like met people through the Arctic Monkeys message board. That was like when Arctic Monkeys came to the helm, I was like, right, I'm not gonna be late on this one. Like,
yeah, I was the same, mate.
Yeah, and I was at like every gig that Arctic Monkeys did. I think that's the most grateful moment I was to my dad. That was like tangible. It was like he bought tickets on eBay. Arctic Monkeys were meant to be playing Mean Fiddler. And they oversold it. They played the Astoria before I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor came out. And there's a DVD. It's on YouTube actually. The whole show.
Yeah, I've watched that before. Yeah, it's mad.
That was incredible. That was the best show that just changed my life. Going to see that show. Immediately went out and bought the white Stratocaster. Right. Didn't realize that Alex was playing an American one and I bought a Mexican one, and there was quite a big difference in the in the quality of guitar. But yeah, just that. Yeah, that was a pivotal moment, and I'm still a massive fan of them.
Yeah,
think he's. That's the thing about Peter, is I think he didn't fulfill his potential, and Alex Turner did. Don't mean to speak rudely of Peter. I think he's an incredible talent, but just had the wrong people around him, I think.
I think it's just how prolific Alex Turner is. It's like even now, it's just mad.
Yeah, someone was on your. I think it was Matt Wilkinson was talking about how, like, was it the RZA from Wu-Tang Clan?
Yeah.
So, I love Bat Phone off of Tranquility Hotel Basic Casino.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like, yeah, that's a great two worlds colliding there. I love that.
Yeah, just like an album, like some mad album track. Yeah.
I know that Lawrence Bell said to Wilkinson that it's their best records, the last records.
Right.
I don't know about that. I think it's this record label pulling it on the record label a little bit, but there's 5 or 6 songs on there that are completely. My girlfriend was saying yesterday how much she loves Ultra Cheese.
Right. Yeah.
The last track. Yeah, we're ready. They're playing, aren't they? Again, they're touring now.
Yeah, I keep seeing announcements in abroad in like South America, so I'm waiting for the one over here.
Yeah, well, they're playing Reading.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're headlining Reading on the 27th of August. I'm actually going to go see them. I just checked, all sold out.
Right. Sure, I can get a day ticket. That's about, but yeah.
Yeah. If you look, I bet you can find one. But officially, it's. I'm going to see them actually in. My family live in the United States. I'm going to go see them play in Los Angeles.
Oh, that'd be great.
And my brother lives over there, so I'm going to go visit my brother and see them. You know Primavera.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing Primavera Los Angeles.
Right. I'm always quite jealous of Americans who you go to see them because they play some pretty cool venues in America, and in England they have to play all the big O2 type of places.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah.
Also, shows in America are like, it's a bit different. It's like the American audiences like expect a bit more.
Okay.
Like, because they're just so accustomed to just, like the American way of living, I suppose. An American sandwich is a lot fatter, than an English sandwich.
Yeah.
And I think the bands give it like quite a lot more. I saw Queens of the Stone Age supported by St. Vincent at this venue near Baltimore called Meriwether Post Pavilion, which Animal Collective named the record after. And bands just play for out. They play at like 2 hours, they just play for longer. And I think the tickets are more expensive, but you get what you pay for.
No, that'd be cool. That. I was gonna say, if you just finish off with a couple about back in the day, then Cole, appreciate your time. Yeah, well, obviously, just going back to, can you remember the day that you gave that interview for the documentary? Out of interest.
Yeah. Carling was doing like these 24-hour gigs, Carling the beer, and it was like shows like all over London. And Babyshambles was at 2:00 in the afternoon at Ulu, which isn't there anymore. Spinal Tap reference. University of London, like near Russell Square, I think. And 2:00 in the afternoon. It was a great show. That my friend actually like smoked a spliff like about half an hour before they came on, and we're only 13 or whatever, and he just passed out. So I like carried him to like the first aid, and they let us go watch the show from the press box,
right,
on the balconies. Great. And Babyshambles was just on fire that day. Pete was just on great form. But some of those Babyshambles shows I went to were terrible. Like I saw them at Coco, and they were just played like 5 songs. I think Pete then whatever he got up to before gigs, sometimes he was not in his right mind. He was not capturing the vibe at all, and they were awful. But sometimes they were just the best band. I think go at that point. And that University of London show, they were absolutely incredible. And I went outside afterwards, and this guy Roger Pomfrey, who made that "Who the Fuck is Pete Doherty" documentary, he was asking loads of kids, he was asking people like what they thought. He just had the camera and just came up to me, and I was pretty pumped up and full of this romantic spirit or whatever. It just spewed out all this fanboy out of just complete love of his music. And it was great. I was it was a weird thing, but it kind of changed things a bit for me doing that interview.
In what way? Sorry.
Just I don't know. It was just like, I think I was pretty young, and quite a lot of people saw it, and it just gave me a surge of confidence, and it made me think that I was in some way connected to Pete. And then when I would meet Pete a few times after that, and he recognized me, and he was he was really sweet to me about it. And I think he understood I think he genuinely loves his fans, and I think in quite a sincere way. Like I don't think he I think his own ego comes from within, but his connection to people is pretty sincere.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he was quite grateful for what I said to him. Well, I like shoved a stack of CD into his hands so he could get to sign all my like bootlegs that I had.
All right. So like you say, you were like looking out for last minute gigs as well all the time. Where was the maddest place you saw him play? Was it like different houses and stuff like that? Or not really?
The best one I saw him play was actually at Jazz After Dark. In central, I'm trying to remember where in central London that is, but he just played for about 3 hours, and there was about 20 people there, and everyone just sat down like cross-legged, and he just sat down, and yeah, he ran through like all of Babyshambles and Libertines repertoire, back catalogue, basically, like songs like Never Never and Dilly Boys and like Love Reign Over Me, and like just some Smiths covers. And it was just one of those ones where he was just like in the zone, and he just played forever. Some of those gigs I saw him play, like, I remember one of them actually was when he just come back from Thailand, and he played this photo gallery in Camden, and my dad took me along to him. That might have been, but like before Babyshambles, Libertines hadn't quite broken up yet, but he wasn't speaking to Carl, and that was an incredible show. You know when he's got, on the cover where he's got the shaved head and the cover of the NME, it was that right at that period. So like massive hype, and I stood behind the stage because just like Dad was able to get this like place where he felt safe. I wasn't going to get completely crushed or whatever, and yeah, he was incredible that night. Really, he's a hell of a performer when he wants to be. Even when I saw him at the Forum, I went to the Christmas shows, and I went to the shows in February, and he's just like, it's great to see him now, because he's like, I think he's become a really good guitar player, and he's really effortless on stage. And I'd love to see him like put out a new, well, I know he's put out another record, but I'd love to see him put out like another Libertines record. But it's even just because he's sort of in his comfort zone, where he's playing like everything off Up the Bracket and off self-titled records. But he just has a magnetism to him that is really genuine, really unique.
Yeah. No, it'd be cool. Like, I think I was watching an interview where he said one of these songs he just released on that solo thing was one of the best he's ever done. So it's good, like, to see him in that kind of mindset where he's trying to top what he's done, kind of thing. See what?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I hope he keeps just banging out records more. Like, he seems like he's in a good state. If he's truly kicked the smack and crack, then he's still like got an unbelievable turn of phrase. And I think Wilkinson was saying how he just speaks in lyrics. It's just a his lyricism is really, really interesting. Just how he puts a frame on how he views life, his perception and stuff. Yeah, don't keep repeating myself, but he's just like he's genuine. He's one of a kind.